Okay, here we are in an adjacent area to the Mallory Trail in Sherman, Connecticut. It's early December, December 4th, 2016, and I'm on a hilltop over here, which almost seems like it's a mound area, but it's kind of hard to say whether this is a man-made hill or a mound or whatever it is. But something interesting starts to happen when you get over on this adjacent part here. On the Mallory Trail, you see a lot of these big boulders, but you don't see what's going on like this, for example. Almost everywhere in the adjacent areas over here, let me turn the camera, you can see these boulders that have other rocks stacked on top of them for some reason. We're at the top of the hill here now. These may have been staging areas. You can see some more rocks on top of a boulder there. Turn around over here, go to this boulder at the top of the hill here. You can see more smaller rocks of all different sizes and shapes on top of this boulder. And you can find that almost anywhere through here. Almost every single large rock throughout this area over here has a bunch of smaller rocks and stones on the top of them. I'm going to come down off the hill. You can see some more stone wall construction down here, and I think entranceway to another area. I mean, these areas are small squares. I don't know why they were cordoned off this way in such hilly, rocky, woody terrain here. But you're certainly not keeping any livestock in here, because I can get right up over the walls. And I mean, sheep and goats are natural born rock climbers. You know, bigger animals could certainly step right over these walls. But this wall over here, when it goes down over here, it seems more of a retaining wall than an actual wall. But let's go down into here. Here you can see, this is, I think, an entrance, an entryway. Comes around this tree over here. I think it was purposeful. And something interesting, when you get down over here, this right here is a big giant pile of stone. I don't know whether this was a cairn or something else, but certainly no excavations have been going on over here. I don't know if they ever were done over here, but you have this big pile of sort of stones where you don't see anywhere else in the area over here. Around this whole area here, it seems like it's like marked out, but there's a whole bunch of small stones, and it's, I guess it's, I don't know, 15 feet by 10 feet, something like that. And there's a lot of small stones all in a pile over here. A big giant pile of stones over here. A lot of them are small. And then on the outsides, it seems like there's larger rocks around the outside and smaller in. I don't know, is there something underneath here? I don't really know. But I certainly was curious to see this, because I don't see this anywhere else around this whole area over here, and I've been throughout this whole area. Down over here, there seems to be like a big depression, and if you walk on it, it's kind of squishy. If you walk on it over here, right in here, it's like a dell or something low inside here, very low. And I'm walking on it, it feels very squishy. I don't feel hard ground over here like it's a buildup of leaves and sticks for a long period of time. But it seems kind of curious too that you have this big sort of depression over here in the land at the bottom of this hill, and then that big stone pile on the other side of the wall over here. This wall happens to have, I mean, it has small stones in it, but it has some gigantic ones in here. You know, I was a bodybuilder, and I tried making my own wall. Tried lifting some of these stones, and they are really heavy. I can't imagine. It'd be like working out at Gold's Gym for, you know, 8-12 hours a day. I mean, I don't know how these people did it, but I mean, I was a serious bodybuilder, and I couldn't work out like this. Look at the size of these stones. That's my foot on the size of these stones. I mean, some of these stones, and they're on, some of the large ones are on top, you know, with smaller stones underneath. Like I said, to build a stone wall, it's really like a trial and error. You got to see which ones fit. If you're trying to build it up to a certain height or whatever, I mean, it's not so easy. It's rather time consuming, and I mean, if these were made as fences, I mean, this almost seems like a retaining wall. It's like, I'm in a lower area, there's a higher area up there, and this seems like no wall at all. Seems like more like a retaining wall of some sort. But I mean, certainly there's no shortage of wood to make fences with. I mean, I could make a split rail fence myself, a huge section of it in a day or a couple of days work. I could make a huge split rail fence. I mean, you know, doing it with rocks here, and I don't see what they cleared. This is extremely rough terrain. There's boulders in the middle of, I mean, they weren't planning anything. Behind me is the southern part of the sky where the sun rises, and we're on the back of the hill. So I mean, you want to get full southern exposure, especially in the northern hemisphere, if you want to grow crops and stuff. This area over here, I mean, I can't see what they were doing over here. And you got some very old trees here too. So in any case, here's a big giant piece of marble. Beautiful piece of marble over here. I mean, that stone is huge, absolutely huge. There's my foot on it. I mean, it's gigantic. And I mean, I don't know what that weighs there. 500 pounds? 400 pounds? I mean, you're dragging your farm animals around this terrain over here. You're slipping and sliding and rolling on fallen branches and everything. This is not a great place to work. And lifting these heavy, heavy stones all day long. Wow. Talk about endurance. Now here's an interesting stone over here, and I call this guy here the clam rock, although it could be an effigy of some sort. I don't know, but it seems to be like a big giant rock that has like a split in the middle, and like the mouth of it is filled with smaller stones. As I said, I'm not sure if they used these large boulders as staging areas to build the walls, but it just seems kind of curious to me that this big mouth clam rock has all of these smaller stones like stuffed into it, and it's really packed in there. So I called it the clam rock. Looks like the mouth of a clam with a bunch of stuff stuffed into the mouth. And then even back here, you can see on some of these smaller boulders, there's just these placed rocks on top of them, like a few placed rocks. I mean, even over here, this small guy over here, there's like a few random rocks placed on top of it. You know, maybe it was easier for them to see instead of getting lost in all the flora and fauna over here. I don't know. But you make up your own mind. I mean, this section of wall looks pretty beat up. There's some small stones here, but look at this guy over here, Maron. This is freaking huge. There's my foot on it. It's gigantic. This rock over here must weigh like 600, 700, 800 pounds. Here's another one. It's gigantic. That stone right there could weigh easily like 1,000 pounds. And there's more in here along this wall area here. But this wall area over here looks really beaten up. Not well maintained. As Mr. Thorson says, and they left, there was volcano eruption, and they stopped farming, and then they had the Revolutionary War, and they came back. But in all the years prior to that, I was reading a history in Northport, Long Island. The settlers were busy having a lot of small Indian wars, eradicating the Indians from all these areas, and so I don't know, but I mean, some of these rocks and these walls are absolutely massive. And I mean, here it doesn't seem so bad if you had a work animal doing some of the hauling or whatever, but I mean, some of these areas are not very conducive to any of that. I mean, here's a section of stone wall, goes up, and then you can see on the hill over there, it looks like a better maintained wall over here, and then it follows along this path and down through here. It's very scattered, and a lot of these stones are huge. But something very interesting in the brook at the end of the stone wall. You can see it's not well maintained. They didn't bother coming back here, which I find kind of curious, because their ancestors, whoever it was, spent a lot of time, you know, getting these boulders and stones over to this wall area, and then to just let it fall into disrepair doesn't make a lot of sense. A gigantic stone. And here, you can see over here how this stone wall, and there's some giant rocks in there, goes down this area, and you can see that the brook over here, I mean, here's some lining, some stone lining along this brook here. Again, I don't know if it was because they didn't want it to wash out, but the stones that are in there, to drag them over here and put them on, line them up along the brook here, is just a Herculean task. I think a lot of the brook here was lined with stone on either side, and I think a lot of this stuff, you know, a lot of these stones fell into the brook as it washed out. You can see down that way. I mean, this brook was absolutely dry as a bone in the summertime. And if you had some sort of settlement here or farm or whatever, you weren't getting water from over here, I can tell you that. And Candlewood Lake wasn't created yet back in those times, although there might have been some water areas in the valley over there. I don't know, but see if we can get a better look at the lining over here. I mean, the stones that are in here are huge, and they're I mean, you're lifting stones that are huge off the ground, you know, feet. And to stand at the edge with some sort of animal or whatever it is, I mean, I don't know. You judge. See, this part of it over here also looks like lining that I'm walking on over here. Oh. All the way up, see? Look at that. I mean, the stones at the bottom are absolutely massive, and then it goes, you know, all the way to the top, and then some of the stones are smaller at the top. And you can see down there, the stone wall more or less follows the path of the brook, just on this side, not on the other side. But I mean, to just make this one section over here I can't even imagine how much labor that is. And I mean, like I said, those rocks in there are just absolutely massive. Some weigh 1,000 pounds, maybe more, hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And like I said, this area is not even that easy to hike through. It's all up and down and mountainous. Continues along there, and then you can see at the edge of the brook, especially on that side, there are some massive stones on that side. And they look like some different rocks, some different kind of rock. I don't know. But it's crazy. There are crazy sized rocks over here. I don't know who is moving these. Even if you had animals to bring them over to the area that you wanted to work in, boy, would that be difficult. And then you and your buddies had to move them around for 8 or 12 hours. I mean, you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Lou Ferrigno or something like that to do all that stuff. Not really talking about people who are Lou Ferrigno, I don't think. Now, I'm going to follow this other old section of wall. As you can see over here, there's a lot of rocks in here, but it's not very well kept. Once you get over to this side, you sort of these large stones in this area. Over here at the end of one wall, that was like the retaining wall that meets up on a right angle with this wall, but this area over here has some large boulders in it. And then this wall goes up onto private property over here. This wall seems relatively well maintained, although I don't know when the last time people were maintaining these walls over here. I mean, you have like old couples living in these houses over here. I don't know who was doing what. But this old wall right here, you can see this is not well maintained. There's some big rocks in here. And this leads down. And look at this guy over here. And that's massive. More massive stuff. Goes all the way down over here. I'm gonna go through here. And right here, at the end of this old wall with these gigantic rocks in it over here, is this blown up dam. Right at the end over here. And here's the same brook, Greenwood Brook, I think. And you can see there's the other side, and there's some sort of causeway up there. It comes into like a 90-degree off the side of the top of the brook over there, and then it comes into here. Now this is made with mortar. You can see the old mortar in there. I mean, somebody was commenting on one of these things that some of the researchers, alternative researchers, that, you know, there was no concrete used in New England until 1900, which you know, they don't cite where they're getting their information from. And you know, somebody was in the construction industry and they dug, you know, hundreds of foundations away, and they never came across anything, no skeletons, no whatever it is. I'm sure you could dig 1,000 times and not even find an arrowhead. So this is interesting over here, because I think this was a pretty main dam over here. And I mean, the stones that were used in this dam were absolutely gigantic too. And this is all set with mortar. Unfortunately, have a lot of running water through here, but if you look down here, there's some sort of wood pipe that went through here, and it's made out of wood. And when it was dry over here, you could clearly see in the mortar how the wood pipe shaped to the mortar over here. So this was a dam that I believe was here. Now, why they had this area dammed over here, I don't know. But maybe it was for farming, maybe it's because in the summertime, you know, there was so little water here. Like I said, I was here and it was bone dry. You could walk the whole length of this. Further down this way, almost all of the brooks around here are lined with stone, dry laid stone, just like we saw over there. On the other side of this dam thing here, you can see there's some dry laid stone in the corner over there, but this part is all mortar. And I mean, the stones involved with this are absolutely friggin' huge. I don't know how they got these stones. These stones here must weigh several tons. So I don't know who built this. There's certainly mortar being used, but you know, the Romans had mortar, so I don't know. This guy says, one of the guys commenting said that they didn't know mortar was used in New England before 1900. Well, I don't know where he gets his information from. I don't know. Maybe he's right. I don't know. I'm not here. I'm just simply here to show you what's here. But I thought this was interesting. And somewhere in between, there was another dam. So there was a total of 3 dams over here. I assume was used for agriculture and because of lack of water. And I just found it interesting that there was this wooden pipe that went through here to let the water through, I guess to let, you know, so that it wouldn't completely overflow. I mean, I guess that was one way of managing it, but being that it was a wooden pipe, not made out of clay or anything like that, I mean, I don't know. You could clearly see in the mortar the way that the wood is formed to the mortar when it's dry over here. And these stones over here are gigantic. And down there, the brook is lined. There's more lining down there. Maybe it was there so the brook wouldn't wash out the land. I don't know. I'm letting everybody be the judge. We'll go back along this wall, which obviously was not well maintained, but if this was the border of this property over here, boy, they didn't do such a terrific job at building this wall as compared to, you can see, other walls here. It seems older, I don't know, or just less maintained. But why they would just maintain it over there and not over here? It's somebody's property back through here. And like I said, I'm on the northwest side, so not the best place to try to grow crops or anything. I'll go up through here. Just want to show you a couple more things I found interesting here. That's the retaining wall and a clam rock down there. These boulders, big boulders on the corner where that old wall goes down to where the brook is. And up this way, there's some interesting stuff. Let's see if I can find it. This I thought was kind of interesting. Again, these big giant boulders have small rocks on top of them. This, you can't see it, but up into the face of this rock here, there's rocks all in a line. Right behind this big boulder here, there's rocks, like a rock wall behind here. Almost seems like an effigy of some sort. Again, on top of there, there's small stones. Another entranceway or exitway out into a big rolling property, which is definitely farmable over there. But this section over here, very heavily wooded. Let's go a little bit back along the top of that retaining wall. Here's the clam rock over there. Take a shortcut through here. Oh, this is the rock that looked to me like an effigy rock, possibly. This is in the middle of nowhere over here, and you can see it almost looks like a whale head, turtle head, snake head, I don't know. But right behind the rock here, you can see just like a rock wall of all these smaller rocks that go in a line out from it. Right here, it just ends. So you got all these rocks piled up, and then you get it along this head over here. Let me get a profile. Here's the profile of the rock. Now, if that doesn't look like an effigy, some sort of effigy, turtle head, face, whale head, who knows? I don't know. But it certainly looks like that, and it's in the middle of nowhere. There's no walls nearby or anything. And here we continue through here. More boulders,